Hey, good day to you. Thanks for having some interest in customizing your toolbars. So what I'm here to do is show you the power of it. I'm not going to go into details on how to create one, but I might show you a little bit. But I will show you the power of it, and then you can choose if it's good for you. So let's start off. So most people seem to use the basic or the classic toolbars, and this is kind of what it looks like. There's a couple other, toolbars that you can pull down, but generally most people use this. I think most people also use aliases for their, quick commands, which is great, but the aliases don't usually take care of everything. So let me show you what I've done. So I've created my own toolbar, and this is really a helpful tool to use to speed up things and take out your frustration, because a lot of times it's frustrating trying to find stuff. So as you notice, my toolbars are very easy to see, and they're very different. So it's not too hard to pick things out. If you go up to the top here and you look at all the Cadence icons, and it's really difficult to make out. You got to what I call is fishing. So you're going to have to fish up here. You're going to have to fish over here for layers. You're going to have to fish over here for cells. So I try not to go fishing. I try to make it pretty easy so I can quickly do a task. So let's start off with the bottom row here. So what do these do? These are your metal layers. Now, one of the things about this is it's not technology dependent. You can do it anywhere. There's nothing proprietary here. Everything is basically taken from the Cadence skill and put into buttons. That's pretty much all it is. There are maybe 2 or 3 actual skill files that I call because it does multiple things. But other than that, pretty much everything is just skill commands and put in here. So let's start off. So what this does is we have the layer selection. So you notice that when I clicked M1, it went over to M1. When I clicked M2, it went over to M2. So if we hover over this, it says set layer M2, set layer M1. Okay, so that sets your current layer. So let's put in a path. So you can either type in P, which a lot of times I actually still do. I don't use this too much, but if it's convenient and it's right there, then I use it. So we'll use it this time. So we'll put in a path. So this is an M2 path. And let's say I want to change it to M4. I just click that and it changes to M4. So it's very convenient on the fly to change a layer. And you don't have to redo it. You don't have to kill it. And, oh, I decided to put in M4 instead of M2. No, you don't have to do that. So it's very, very nice for that. Second thing you could do is you can change the width on the fly. And that's what these buttons down here are for. There's 0, 7, 14, blah, blah, blah. So let's go to 14. And you can see that the wire got bigger. And now let's put it in a 1 micron. So it's very easy to adjust it on the fly, and which is pretty convenient sometimes. So sometimes you start a wire, you get to the other end, and it's like, oh, it's double. It's 0.14 instead of 0.17. I want to use 0.14. You just tap into that. Okay, so that is the wire and how that works. So let's see. So we have all view and non-view. So currently, I have all these layers on, and my current layer is M4. So I can do a non-view, and you see it only turns on M4. So it's all the same commands over here that you have in the layers window, all view, non-view. But I don't have to go way up in the corner here because everything it's so easy to move my mouse to grab all of these commands here. So it's very localized. So I don't have to go up here and hit the NV or use an alias. We had, of course, there is a lot of aliases that we use, but there's only so many, and then it starts to get complicated because when you have to control shift, Z or something, then it gets a little bit more cumbersome on the keyboard. But if you can put it into a button here, it just saves you so much time. So notice that I have M4 only on. And now I want to turn on M3 and M2. I just click the buttons and it turns it on. Okay, I don't have to go over here and start looking for stuff. Now, sometimes you don't have the used on, so you have to scroll up and down, or it's really painful. Or if you have a lot more layers, if you do have the used on, but you have 40 layers in your design, maybe you're at the upper level, then it's really hard to find. So this is a very convenient way to do this. Okay, so another thing we have is the turn off the layer. So let's say right now I have 2, 3, and 4 on, and I'm dealing with 2, 3, and 4, but then I want to turn off, say, M3 for some reason. Okay, so what I do is I make that layer active by clicking on it, and I simply do the VX. So that's visibility off is what I made it, and then I can turn it back on. So this is very helpful because sometimes you just want to see certain layers. So even if I turn on M1, for example, okay, so if I turn on M1, and so I have some congestion in here. Let's say I have lots of M1s over here, and it starts to get congested. So I just take M1 and I turn it off. Okay, so now I can focus on the layers I'm interested in and not all the other stuff. So if I want to turn everything back on, I just do an all view. So you can see this is set all visible and things like that. You also have control over the layers right down here where I have used, none, and valid. So if we look in the top left corner right now, everything is valid. Okay, if I say none, so that's show all layers. But if I say used, you'll notice that the layer window changed and it went to used. So once again, everything is up here, but I don't have to go up here. I can do quick commands right here, and it's very convenient. And then I can turn on the valid also. Okay, so a lot of times what will happen is if you do used, all right, and then but you want to see a different layer for whatever reason. For example, if you're nested down into a cell and you're only looking at the layers in that cell, but you do want to see the top level also, then you have to change. You actually have to do a none, and then you can do all view, because now it'll turn all the layers on for you. So this is really, really convenient in that kind of a situation. Okay. Let's see, what else do we have here? We can also create a bus. So this automatically creates a bus, and whatever layer you have selected, obviously, and so this is the wrong layer. So I just, whoops, I turn it to M1, for example. Okay. And same thing as the path, I can do it right on the fly. I can change it to M2, M3, and what have you. And I can also change the size. Okay, so there's the size right there. Now, one of the other things is, for example, if you have minimum spacing, if you have a 0.07 spacing in there, then, and you try to put a via in this particular process, if you put vias all in a line and it's only 0.07, then you get a DRC from via to via. So the metal spacing is 0.07, but the via to via is, I think it's 0.1. So you have to space it differently. So what we do on the fly again, we can change the spacing right here. So these are my spacings I can put in. Now all these are adjustable, so if you have something you use all the time, you can go ahead and put something in that's different. Maybe you have a 0.5 spacing or 0.3. If you have wide metal, for example, and you're running some big buses, then you can add that in here. So watch what happens. So you probably saw a little jump. So let's go down to 0.1. Okay. Let's actually do this. Let's just put a ruler in here. And then you'll be able to see. Okay, let's just get rid of this, and we'll put in another bus. And so this one here, this is at 0.12. So you see there's definitely a difference right there. Oh. So you can see that I spaced it 0.12 instead. So that's really helpful a lot of times. Okay, let's see. What else do we have here? One thing we can do is I can probe the nets. So for example, let's say this one here is A. So let's go over to the left side here, and this is a net tracer. So once again, this is up here in the connectivity. So this is what you have to do. Connectivity, where is it? net tracer right here. There we go. And then you have to do add remove. So you notice the symbol is the same as I have. So I didn't change that symbol. That's a Cadence symbol. So I just used the icon right here. And I just used the same one. Actually, I picked that out and used it. So what all I have to do is do this and boom, and I'm done. So I don't have to go to these menus or anything. I just click on that and click on that. So now you have to remove it too when you're done, right? So let me remove it. I just click this button and it's gone. Okay, so this is a really, really helpful tool. Okay, so let's talk about groups. So if we go to groups, okay. So let's do this. So I'm going to create a group. All right, let's just do M2. I'm going to create a group here. Okay, let's do this. All right, so right now I have 2 polygons. I want to create a group because this is, let's say it's a common interconnect at the upper level. So I can't put them in the cell, so I have to put them in the upper level, but I want to create a group and copy it and clone it. So it's common everywhere. So all I do is I grab these, and then these buttons here are create group. Now, you can make these anything you want, but these really stand out. It's very easy for me to find these, and I use them all the time. So I want something that stands out and does it, you know, you can make those anything you want. But for me, this is the easiest way to find this stuff very quickly. Okay, so I grab the entities I want, and then I just hit the green button, and it creates a group, okay? Otherwise, I have to go up here. I have to go to create group, and find that stuff, okay? But you saw I just clicked the button and it's done. All right, so now let's talk about copying this to a synchronized copy. So now it's a group. It's not synchronized yet. So if I copy this, all right, and I drag it over, then it's not synchronized. So all I need to do is go down here and click this button, and it says sync copy, okay? So now this is a synchronized copy. So if I go into this and I add another polygon, it synchronizes up, okay? So this is a normal function. So these 2 are synchronized. So now let me show you something else that's really nice. Actually, we can put this in here. We can do this. All right. So this is a group. This is a polygon. So let's say I wanted to add this polygon to this group and do an add to group. Okay. I just grab this. I say hit the blue button. Blue is add to group, and I just click on that, and boom, there it is, and it puts it in the other one. So it's very powerful to do this. You don't have to go into the group. You don't have to do any crazy stuff. You don't have to do transparency, blah, blah, blah. So it's very nice to do. All right, so now let's say that I have a row of 16 of these that I need to put in, but the 15th one is a little bit different than the 15th. The 16th one is a little bit different than the other ones because it's on the end. You have some special thing. So for whatever reason, you can't copy the synchronized group, and you need to make a special one. So what we do is this. It's very, very fast and easy to do. Okay, so let's say I copy this over. Now when I copy it over, it's still a synchronized group. Okay, so this is synchronized to these other 2. Now what I want to do is, all I have to do is I come over here and I hit the green button and I create a group. Okay, so now I just created another group in here. So this still has the synchronized group inside it. So if I do change this, this is going to change, which is not what I want. So what I do is I grab this and I go into the group right now. And then I grab the group and I hit the red button and I ungroup it. All right. And so now I'm in this group, okay, and this portion is not synchronized. As you can see, it's flat. So let me undo this. So right now, if I grab this, it's a group. So I'm going to flatten it, and now it's not a group anymore. So now if I need to just take this guy and cut it back a little bit, all right, it doesn't change over here. So this is a really powerful command that you know, we have to use it a lot sometimes, but it's a really nice thing to be able to synchronize stuff very quickly. So let me show you how fast this really is. Okay, so I take this, I copy it over here, I create a group, I go into the group, I take this guy, I go out, and now this is a different copy. That's all it took. It took about, what, 2.5 seconds or 3 seconds to do that. And now I can go into the group and I can modify it, and we're done. Okay? So this is really helpful. This sync button is super helpful to use, and the group buttons are super helpful to use because in this day and age we do try to use a lot of those. Okay, so right now I've done a lot of edits, and so what I want to do is save. So I have a save button here, and there should be a save. No, it looks like I removed this save button, or I don't have that toolbar up there at the top. So my save button, I moved it down here so I can save it. The other thing I can do is go into, so I've made some modifications in here. Okay, so I have this other cell. So let's go into the other cell here, and I'm going to make a modification. Okay, so with one button, the top button, what this will do, you see it says return to level. So what it's going to do is it's going to save what's in this cell, and it's also going to go to the top level and save the top level. So if I do this, it goes all the way to the top, and I'm done. So I don't need to, if you use the B key, a lot of times you can go up, and depends on how you have it set up. Does it go up one level all the way to the top, etc. So you can have your alias in one way, and then you can have this button that just goes all the way to the top. And this is really helpful. I always use it, especially when I run a DRC, because when I run a DRC and the top cell isn't saved, it always asks me, you want to save it? And so I have to say yes. So this button takes care of that. Okay. So here's an example. So I do this. Actually, not an example. So I'm moving on to the next one. So let's run a DRC. Okay. So I just made a modification here. Okay. And now I need to save it. Sure, I can just hit this. But if I've made some changes here and here, then I have to save everything. So I do that. I go to the top. Okay. Now, I also have some DRC and LVS buttons here. And the DRC and LVS buttons do the same thing. So if I go into the cell here, okay, and I make a modification. So I just need to modify this one little piece here to maybe connect it or do whatever. So now I need to run the top level DRC and the top level LVS, because that's really where I'm working. This was just a small little change. I don't need to run this cell by itself. Okay, so I have two buttons, a DRC and an LVS button. So run caliber DRC, run an LVS. So what this will do is it will save this cell, go all the way to the top and save that one and start a DRC. So if I click on this, then what's going to happen is it's doing all that, and then it will pull up a DRC, hopefully. It's a little bit slow sometimes. So let's try this again. Okay, there we go. Okay, so it pulled up the DRC, right? Automatically. Now, we do have in our system here, we do have a caliber, and I can pull up, run a DRC up here. But once again, first of all, you have to go up here, and if you haven't saved the cell, it will ask you to save the cell. There will be a pop-up, and it's just really painful. So if you just click this button, it does all that for you, and you're done. And however long it takes to bring up the DRC is that. LVS is basically the same. Okay, so let's look at just a couple more down here. This one right here, I made toggle assistance on and off. So you see you have all these assistants on the left side and right side. So let's say you are doing a DRC. So DRC, you generally don't require the wire assistant, constraint, all that stuff. And you don't really require the palette either, generally. And my palette is basically right here, so I don't need to worry about that. So if I click on this, it toggles the everything off, and now my real estate is much better, much better. And you can also do this inside the schematics too to help you out. So if you want to turn it back on, you just turn it back on. Okay. These other buttons, like this fire and update components and nets, that's standard stuff. And what I did was I incorporated it into my toolbars so I can put it wherever I want. This is nested down in other toolbars, but I basically have the same functionality. Same thing with the alignment over here. It's basically the alignment toolbar, and I just moved it over here where it's more convenient for me. This is an interesting thing, and what it does is it aligns things. So if I click on OD, then you notice that it changes the alignment, and PC too. Okay, so it's really helpful. So this is 0.11 for M3. So this is customizable. And what it does is just it interfaces with this. So you have a lot of flexibility there. Let's see. So these over here on the right side, these are like these are pins. The V's are via contacts. So basically, if I need to turn a layer off, for example, then it's easy for me to do that. I just boom, and we're done. Okay. Let's see. You know, one convenient feature is the pins. So if I do this, click on that, it's already set to auto. Okay. Oh, and I can just click on these. Now notice it put the M2 pin. All right, and that's wrong. So what I need to do before you do this is you select the pin, and then you do that, and then it just automatically puts it in. Okay. So let's grab this. I don't know if it's the right layer or not, but I don't know how to set. Yeah, M3 pin. Okay. So that's all set up correctly. So you can use this. It's if you go to up here to create pin, you can do the same thing. Okay, it pulls up that menu. But once again, you know, would you rather do this and do it, or would you rather have to go all the way up here, pull stuff down, and click it? Okay. Let's see. So that's kind of the basics on this. I have all kinds of stuff. This merges shapes and etc. Okay. So let's go to the top up here. The top is a little bit more interesting. This is where some of the more powerful commands are. So you notice I have these, this is M4, and I don't know if I mentioned it already, but the color codes, so this is my display.drf color, and I matched it to the buttons here. So I create icons that have the same color, and then that way I know what I'm looking for. There's no, you know, I just go right down to the pink or the brown or the yellow, and I can easily see this by either the text or the color. So it's really, really nice to have. Okay, so one of the things that makes Cadence very powerful is if you understand and learn how to toggle the tool. Okay, if you learn how to toggle it effectively and efficiently, you will be way ahead of the game. So let's take a look at this, for example. So I have all these lines here, okay? And so let's go down to where they start. So this line here, if I do a stretch, let me turn this one on. Okay, so if I do a stretch in normally, right, then the via contact doesn't move. And what I want to do is toggle that. All right, so all I have to do, I have up here buttons for wires and vias. So once you start it, if you want to toggle it, you just click wires and vias. And notice the via contact also changes. All right, so this is a really powerful tool. Now the thing is, you don't want this mode all the time. So you want to be able to toggle it, because if I change this and then maybe I don't want that functionality anymore, because I want to just move a wire by myself and I don't want any via contacts, I don't want the M3 to move, I don't want anything else, then I have to toggle it back. So basically you just hit the W and it toggles it back. Now this is all in the options, the selection, so it's all right in here, but I have buttons that toggle it for me automatically, and it does the right thing. Okay, so another thing is, same thing for this, all right? So this right here, oh, actually, no, that was the stretch, sorry. I got that wrong. Anyways, so if I want to, but there is a menu for the stretch. So if I want to grab all these guys at the same time, I made a button for that. So this is actually here. Okay, so this is in the select options, so same thing. See what it does, so this time it's stuck. It doesn't always stay if you click it one time, but some of these do and some of them don't. So I usually click it twice and it disappears, but you can see what happens. Now this brings up the menu, but it's already changed this. So basically when I click this, I double click it to get rid of it, and I grab all of these. And it's what it is a crossover. So anything I cross over, it's going to grab. Okay. So now let's move these. So you see the wires and vias. It's only moving the wires, and then I want to move all of these at one time. All right, I'm able to move the whole thing at one time. Okay, now let's take a look at this. So I'm moving this whole thing at one time at the bottom, the views are moving, and they're moving up here too. So this is a really powerful way to do this. And if you have these toggle buttons, it's very fast and efficient. And you don't have to find anything. You don't have to remember anything. You just remember it's right here. And then it's very simple to do. Okay. So let's talk about one more. So I have the select all shapes. So if I click this, now it changes the mode to selecting all the shapes on the net. So all I have to do is grab this, and look what happens. It grabs everything on that particular net. Now you notice over here that this is also A, okay? And the rest of it is A. So it grabbed everything, which is good, but I don't want this. So what that means is, in order to get rid of this, I actually have to change the toggle mode, because what's going to happen, the whole thing is selected, and if I don't change the toggle mode, it's going to undo everything. Okay? So what I want to do is I need to click this, all right, and then I just get rid of that. And now I have this, this net that's highlighted. Now bear in mind, I'm back into the partial mode right now. So while I'm in the partial mode, you know, I can stretch stuff. I can stretch the ends. But if I go into full mode, then it grabs the whole thing. Okay, so this is one important reason why you have to have these toggles. So basically I have these 3 toggles up here. So SA, that's just select everything. That's just Control A. So, but you see it grabbed everything. I use this sometimes only if I'm up in the area and I need to do that. Okay. All right. You want a library manager? There it is. You want a CIW window? There it is. So it's very fast and efficient to pull these things up. You don't have to go down into the Virtuoso window, into the terminal, and grab which one you want. Okay. This sometimes is very painful to find, because if you have, you know, 10 or 15 windows open, it's very, very painful. And so you really, it's just much easier if you have these available. Okay, let's see, what else? So we have a make editable, we have a read only. I have a toggle for edit in place. So for example, if I go into this cell here, now my general is to see everything, but if I just want to toggle it, then I just toggle it on and off, on and off. And obviously you can go in, you can do your display menu, and you can turn it off there, but it's a little bit harder to do. When I just go up here and toggle it on and off, much, much more efficient. Okay, let's see what else. This one I actually use, surprisingly enough. I use it a little bit. Let's see, let's go to toggle. Oh, I got to get back up to the top of the cell. All right, so let's say I move this, this guy right here, and now this is my new 0, 0 point. Before it was over here, all I have to do is go click that button, and boom, it's done. Now the 0, 0 point is changed. So that's this button right here. Okay. Let's see. Let's look at the annotation browser. Okay. So what do I have here? Okay, if I do get any errors, this guy right here, I can explain the markers. Okay, so if anything comes up, then I can certainly explain the markers. For example, let's do this. Let's check against source. All right, let's see what's going on. And okay, so I have some errors here, right? So for this one I can click on, but if any errors come up, which let's see, yeah. So this one, let's see. So one of the things that happens when you go check against source, it changes up here. It changes your toolbar. So I have to click back here. Okay, and let's see what happens. So this is a message. So what I do is I click on the question mark and I click on the message on the markers, and it tells me what's going on. So this is basically just like the explain markers. So verify markers explain. So it's the same thing. And you can see what Cadence does. So as I put my icons in there, it shows up here too. So it says, oh, you have a specific icon for the explain. And so it's really nice that it does that. I don't have to do it. It's all automatic. Okay. So let's see what else is there. Basically, so you see that down in the top or bottom right here where it says Virtuoso. Okay, so what happens is I have a schematic open. So a lot of times what'll happen is you'll have, you'll open up 10 cells, layout cells, or 5, let's say 5, and you also open up the schematic at the same time. Now you don't necessarily need all the schematics open, right? Because you're not necessarily working on them, but maybe you have an automatic setup to open them up. So here's a schematic right here that's open, right? So what I'm going to do is this right here closes all open schematics. So if I had 5 open schematics, you'll see this Virtuoso with the number 4. If I had 5 schematics and 5 layouts open, you'd see the number 10. And then what happens is when I click this, it cleans it up. Okay, it takes a second to close stuff. This is messed up right now, so I don't know why it takes so long, but it does. But this has nothing to do with the toolbars. This is just the functionality of Virtuoso for me right now. But you notice it went from 4 to 3. So it closed all the open schematics that were there. Okay. You can do things like this. For example, here's pan. So I made a frying pan just for fun. And I can just type in the coordinates, right? 22, 12. And it pans right to it. All right. So let's make it a little bit better. 1 and 5. All right. So 1 and 5, it goes right to there. That's 1 and 5. So that's really convenient to have. Let's see. So this one here, this is a good one. So let's go up to the top. Actually, I'm in the other cell right now, so let's go here. Okay. So let's go back to the select by net. So select all shapes on net. So if I click on that and I grab this shape here, okay, so now I can see where it goes, and I see I have this extra piece here that I don't want. So I can get rid of this thing, okay, and I'm only interested in this wire here. So let's see how much resistance this whole entire wire has. So basically, you need to set it up, and it's a skill code actually. So this is one of the few skill codes that I actually have in here. So it's the skill program, because it has to calculate and do all kinds of fancy stuff. So you can't really put that in just commands. So basically, if I click that button right there, that little resistor, it calculates all the metal resistance. It calculates the total length. It calculates all the vias. So I don't have the vias in there right now in the formula. So basically, it doesn't add that. But this is a very cool little thing, and it is very helpful. So basically, if you have, if you have a cell over here, right here, and you have a cell over here, and you want to check the resistance between them, you simply add a wire, and then you do this little trick with that. Okay. Let's see. So that is the fundamental way that these buttons work, and you can do anything you want in here that you use often. So that's really what you want to do. For example, ModGen, I use ModGen all the time. So let's just do this, and I create a ModGen by just clicking on that button there, and it creates the ModGen. Okay, and then I could really do this very fast. If I had my template set up, I could just do this and do 0.15 and then 0.16, and then I do a poly and apply, and boom, there it goes. So it's very, very fast to arrange things. And this is just general ModGen stuff, but what I like is I can just create this very fast. So there's other things in here I didn't go over, but it's very nice. Now you notice over here TSMC Metal 10. So that's what I named the workspace. So what happens is you go up here, and here's all your toolbars. So these are all the toolbars that I created, a lot of them. And what you do is you just turn them on or turn them off. So let's say let's say the layer bar, okay? Watch what happens down at the bottom of the screen when I click this. So what happens is all the layers that I had there went away because it's a toolbar and I just shut the visibility off, okay? And if I want to turn it back on, then I just turn it back on and it's there. So what's nice about this is sometimes you have these special toolbars that you don't want to see all the time. It's not necessary. So you have the ability to toggle them on and off if you want to. You know, for example, the design intent, planning, design review. I don't want to see those most of the time, but occasionally I might want to see those if you use those functions. These are actually Cadence toolbars that are built into the system. So you can turn them on and off. Okay, so once you get your setup and you move all the toolbars around where you want, then you go to save. So what you do is you can save the workspace. And basically, if you want it locally, which is your .cadence, so wherever you started the tool, it goes in that local .cadence directory into a specific, into the workspace down, nested down into the hierarchy there. Or you can put it in, you know, anywhere. So that's how you save it. And then you might want to overwrite the existing workspace if you already have one. So if you make some modifications, you can do that. So that is just super nice to be able to do this. And then you can save different ones too. So let's look at this also. So this is another toolbar. This is a smart display, okay? And you can turn on the schematic. So basically what it does is just shows you a schematic view. So this is quite nice to use because sometimes you just want to see, here's M99, M90, so it's very clear to see this stuff. So it's a nice toggle. And I usually have it off, but occasionally I do tend to use it. Okay, one thing, so here I do have another one, open schematic. I use this constantly. So here's a situation where maybe I want to get rid of all the schematics and then I just want to open up one or what have you. So the schematic that's associated with this, I just click on this and it pops up the schematic and now I can see it. Okay, so this is super helpful to do, and then that way I don't worry about getting rid of all the schematics because it's very easy to open one back up if I need it. Let's say I'm working in one cell and I think I don't need it anymore, so I just close all the schematics. And then I have to go into the cell, then I just, it's so easy to pop up. Okay, so that's primarily the layout stuff. And let me show you a few things you can do on the schematic side. So there's a couple of really nice ones. I don't really have a lot of stuff because I don't really play with the schematics too much, but the stuff that I use all the time, I really want to do. Okay, so one is make schematic editable and one is make readable. Okay, so once again, all this is over here. It's in the menus, so you can find it. But if I just click on this, then it's so fast. Okay, so that's one thing I use when I do make minor schematic modifications. Okay, so this is a big one. This is really a big one. This is the instance only and all button. So what it does is, if you notice in the layout, watch what happens. So right now, okay, let's see. Let's change it to all. So normally all is the one that people have on because otherwise you can't select these nets. It only, you know, whatever you have in your setup. Okay. So if we do Control F, so Control F is this, and you notice that all of them are on. So this is where you can manually change all this stuff, but it's very painful because you have to select and etc. It takes way too long. Okay, so what I did is I made a toggle button. So I double click that. Everything is all right, and here's where you might want to use it. So notice that on the right side there, the highlighted areas. So what it did was it highlighted the devices which are on the top, but it also highlighted the wells which go to VDD also. So anything hooked to VDD in this test case, it highlights anything at all. All right, and I don't want to do that. So basically, the only thing I'm interested in is these guys right here. So what I do is I change it to instance, and notice what happens. It only selects the instances. Okay, so it only selects these right here, which is really what I want. I don't want all the nets. So this is a kind of a different situation because they're all VDD, but let's say, for example, that you had, all these were different nets, even the gates. So if you did a global select, it would select everything. And you probably already know that. So this is just a really quick way to toggle things back and forth. Okay. So another thing here. So now I need to put it back to all, which I just did. All right. And I want to grab this VDD here. All right. So it highlights it on the layout, but now I want to see where it goes here. So I have a couple of choices, a couple of different probes. One, I can just do a probe. All right. If I do a probe, it highlights all this stuff. That's great, but I really can't tell where it goes. In this particular case, I can, but in other cases, you would be surprised. It's a big mess. And VDD is kind of a bad one to do, but that's that's my test case right now. Sorry. So basically, I want to get rid of this probe. All right. So I still have the VDD selected, and watch what happens. Now it gives me flight lines. It shows me that these guys over here are hooked to these guys, and it's very clear. So if you're zoomed way out, I can see stuff. I can really see stuff. So let's say this was way over here. I could tell that this is hooked to this because of the flight lines here. So all I do is I have a button for that, and it just shows the flight lines. And then I can get rid of the flight lines by removing the probe. So this is extremely helpful, very, very helpful. Another thing I have is Launch VXL. So basically, if you're in a designer, logic designer, then you can click it here. Now, obviously, you can go up to Launch, and then you can find it there too, but this is just so much more convenient. So this also has the library manager I can pop up, and I can also pop up CIW very fast too. So this is very, very helpful. Okay, I guess that's about the basics. As far as how to do this and stuff, that's a much more complicated thing. Everything is pretty easy. And here, let me show you real fast here. So this is the toolbar manager, okay? And I even created a toolbar for this because if I get out of that, or a button for this, this just simply raises it. So if I get out of this, okay, and I hit the toolbar again, what it does is it resets the whole thing. So I have to start all over. So basically, I'll show you. So let's say I'm down here editing stuff, right? And then I go to my window here. The toolbar manager is still up. But what happens is, if I click this one, it brings me back to the spot that I was. If I click this one, it starts all over. So I just made a button for it. So now I don't have to start all over and find this spot again. So this is where you modify stuff. I won't really go into that right now, but this is how you do it. And you have to learn how to do this. And understand it. It took me a while. It's pretty, not too difficult, but if nobody teaches you how to do it, then you'll be a little confused for a while until you figure it out. But it's really not that complicated. So the only caveat with this is it doesn't save these to your local directory. I have a bug request with Cadence to fix that, so you can save this to your localized directory, because that is where you want to actually put the toolbar files that this creates, and that way it goes with your particular technology. Otherwise, it will go into your home directory, and every time you modify this, it will go into your home directory, and the Virtuoso reads your home directory. It will always overwrite with that, which you don't really want to do. So that's one caveat on how to do this. So there is a tiny bit of manual work, and I have a system where it's really not difficult at all to do this stuff. So that's just one of the things. So hopefully you've seen the capabilities. Fundamentally, all the things are already in Cadence, already in the tools, but if you can manage the power of the way to use these tools, it's going to be really, really productive for you, especially like stretching the wires, being able to select certain things, and etc. And depending on what you're actually doing, the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit. And the big takeaway here is you don't have to really understand how to write skill, because these are all commands. They're single commands, and I'll show you this. So for example, basically you have a callback, DE file open. Okay, so this is the standard Cadence menu, and that's what they did. It's DE file open. Now if we get more complicated here, for example, if I do a set layer, okay, set layer OD. So what happens is I'm actually doing two commands, all right? Two commands at once. So this is where it's really helpful. And some I do three. And I don't know if I have any fours, but I do three commands. But this is simply the command that you use, okay? And there's ways to get this automatically. And so you copy paste, but that's another day. Okay, so hopefully you found this useful, and you can see some of the power here, some of the ease of use. And the nice thing about this is that anyone can use this very easily. It's very clear to see, and they can be productive no matter what technology you're in. You can even, if you have all the funny layers, like OD2, whatever mask layers you have that you don't use all the time, you can put it over like in the right hand corner here. There's all kinds of ways to do that. And let me show you what happens if you go too far. So you can move this over. See, there's a little arrow right there. So what that means is it's a pull down. It becomes a pull down. Okay. So basically I like to have mine pretty clean, so I separate mine and have these spaces so nothing overlaps, and I don't have anything I have to pull down. Otherwise it becomes less efficient. Okay, I guess that's it. So hopefully you have learned something and can see some value in this. And that's it. Okay, good luck to everyone. Have a great day.